everybody. Welcome to today's show. The show is Late Go Podcast. With me today, we have Los Blancos, we have two Senores, and one Nerazzurri, the last boat of Italian football, the Champions League. The Champions League draw was done today alongside the Europa League and Conference League. And already in the round of 16, we have titanic clashes already. There is the Madrid derby and there is the German derby between Bayern and Leverkusen. I will start with our Los Blancos guest. I believe you got your wish in Atletico Madrid. Are you feeling as confident as when you wished for Atletico Madrid?
Yes, I am. I have not hidden my confidence and my belief that, as I said it on the last episode, the devil you know is better than the angel you don't know. And Atletico de Madrid are a team who played more often than not, played themselves already this season, and gotten the better of them in one, and drew the other one, yet to lose to them. And you know what to expect, like I said, from an opponent such as Atletico de Madrid. Feisty, highly competitive game with minimal goals, because they don't really, when they play big teams, they only get involved in all of the goal scoring. It's not like the game between Madrid and Barca where you see 6 goals, even though one side has 5 of it. But Atletico, when you play Atletico, you see a lot less number of goals. You see a lot more passion, a lot more fight between the two players of the two sides. And I'm fine. I'm fine
A lot
with
more
it
red cards too.
Madridista. Yes, a few red cards here and there. And like I said, as a Madridista, I'm fine with the draw. I think it's perhaps the only negative that is this new Champions League format, no territorial protections again. You see a lot of teams playing teams that they come from the same country, which thing that happened in the last format, where you can meet a team from your country at least until the quarters or semi-final. But then, nevertheless, like I said, good draw for Madrid. I doubt Atletico Madrid will be happy to get Real Madrid. So if they feel that way about getting Real Madrid, you can see why I feel confident.
I'm not going to put anybody on the spot yet. As for predictions, I believe we still have quite some episodes before that time. Yinka, the draws was evenly distributed. On both sides of the draw, you have very strong teams. On one side, you have Arsenal, Real Madrid, Atletico, PSG, Liverpool. I think that is the most dense side of the draw. On the other side, we have Barcelona, Inter, Bayern, and Leverkusen. I believe you've said in previous episodes that you like this new format. We can see titanic clashes early on. Do you think at the end of this round, hope will not be lacking excitement commencing from the quarterfinals?
Well, I think there's always that risk with every tournament. It depends on the way that the tournament goes. But I also think that apart from the fact that we are witnessing very interesting clashes like the Madrid derby and the in between Bayern Munich and Leverkusen, we also get to see certain small teams go far in the Champions League. There's a chance that one of Lille, Aston Villa, and Club Brugge could make it to the quarters as well. So I think it increases. I wouldn't say it increases the spectacle, but at least it gives small teams the chance to sort of fight for something. But that's not to say that the competition reduces in quality on spectacle, because you're still going to have teams like Inter. You're going to have teams like there's a potential Inter and Bayern Munich or Bayern Leverkusen clash in the quarters. You have Real Madrid possibly facing Arsenal in the quarters as well. Those are very, very good games. So I don't think it takes anything away from the competition in terms of spectacle it offers.
The Gunners are on a very tricky side of the draw. If they go through against PSV, they are going to face one of Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid. As a neutral, which of the true Madrid sides do you think Arsenal can handle?
It's a very tricky question, actually, because in my opinion, I don't think they stand any chance against any of the two Madrid sides. And my reasons are not far-fetched.
Okay.
In the game of soccer, for you to win, you have to score. And at the moment, that department is really, really lacking at the moment. And I don't know. You can do a Merino against a Leicester City, but you can't do a Merino against an Atletico Madrid that can even defend against the likes of the best strikers of this world. So I don't know how they are going to do it against an Atletico Madrid. It will be a very tight game. I see Atletico winning maybe by a lone goal or even sliding in 2 goals. Possibly they've got a quality striker in this French guy. What's his name?
Griezmann.
Julian Alvarez.
We've got a quality striker in Alvarez as well. So
Solot.
the quality is there. Solot as well. The quality is there. So, and I
Correa.
don't think they really have too many injuries at the moment. So they are coming in with full force. And like Inka mentioned yesterday, you know how hard it is to play their manager Simeone in the finals, especially when it gets into the finals. It's a very difficult game. Inter suffered the last season. They saw how it was. So you can imagine. So I don't see them against Madrid. There's nothing tricky about it. Uche can come and play with our minds here and tell us, oh, nah, I'm not going to have it. Madrid will beat them in a way that they would not expect. Because, see, the thing is, what we've always feared for in Madrid is happening now. And it's the fact that the day Rodrigo, Mbappe, Vinicius Jr. will click, it will become something deadly for the rest of Europe. And it's already happening at the moment. There's no team that will face Madrid at the moment that would not feel the pressure of that attack. That attack is too much for any defense. And I don't think the likes of Gabriel Jesus, they are doing very well. Saliba, they are doing very well, but then I don't really see them. The defender. Sorry, yeah. So I don't see them. I don't see. Yes, they would defend, but bro, you can't mark the 3 of those guys at the same time. Trust me, you can't. If you mark the 2, Rodrigo can do the damage. You mark Vinicius, Mbappe can do the damage. You mark those 2. There's just pressure at every angle. So I don't know how. Let's just wait and see.
So sorry to cut in. Personally, I think that the best way to handle Madrid wouldn't be to try to mark them out. I think the best way to handle them would be to keep them from having the ball. If you intend to sit back and allow them, have the ball, it's only a matter of time before you concede against them. But if you keep them from having the ball, which I think is what Barca has done very well against them this season, they tend to struggle because they then have to be the ones doing the chasing and trying to get the ball off you, which they are not particularly used to, if I'm being honest. So if maybe Arteta is able to come up with a plan that would ensure that he is able to keep players like Declan Rice and Odegaard and the likes with possession, maybe something might happen. Because it's football, I've been watching football for a long time now, and I don't like to
I agree with you.
So let's see how it goes. Obviously, Real Madrid has the higher chance, obviously.
And that is why I'm not putting anybody on the spot yet. Speaking of Real Madrid, when you look at that squad, they look heavy up top, considering the stars that they have. But if you look at the layer of defense that the attack has, you have Jude Bellingham, you have Valverde, and you have Ceballos. That is a very underrated trio in Europe presently. You have 2 workhorses and a very technically gifted player in Ceballos. You know, in the group, we always joke that there is a glue at the feet of Ceballos. When that guy holds the ball, you appreciate the beauty of Spanish midfielders. So, as of today, at least, we are giving credit to Madrid.
Exactly.
But we look forward to an interesting match against Atletico Madrid.
You never can tell. Mbappe, Rodrigo, and Vini might just get injured next week.
Injured, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And then all the Arsenal defenders will not get injured.
You have gone from objectivity to bad balancing.
No, I'm just saying.
Anything can happen. It's football. Anything can happen.
And you know, was trying to devise means and patterns. I was just saying to myself, isn't it just enjoyable sitting back and watch people try? Just sit back and see people have so much headache trying to get again a particular club.
Because like I said, like we said previously, we need to find a way to stop Real Madrid from winning the Champions League.
Honestly,
I believe that if they win it this year, just exclude them from participating next year.
16.
What's the point of coming?
To everybody.
Exactly. What's the point of coming if Real Madrid is not going to win it?
I think on the other side, it's bad news for you because this is a new format, and you know, Real Madrid, they always like to open the floor. They won the first 6 editions of the UEFA Cup when it became a new thing. So when it became the Champions League,
and Ancelotti has threatened us that he will be in the final in May. Oh, what is all this? Anyways, Yinka, you are the last hope of Italian football. We saw how the 3 Italian teams collapsed in the qualifiers. It was a disappointing engagement for Italy. But looking away from your path to the final, in fact, at this point, I don't mind Inter winning the Champions League as long as Madrid does not win Champions League. My question is not really on the draws. I want us to talk about the Lookman and Gasperini situation. From in my own point of view, the Gasperini comment was uncalled for. For a manager of his age and his experience, you don't pick on your players that way. Fortunately or unfortunately, Lookman responded in kind, fire for fire. And there are theories that Lookman has seen a crack and he wants to capitalize. Yinka, as our last hope, I want you to weigh in on this discussion.
Well, what happened? And happened to any club? What happened, between Lookman and Atalanta, or Gasperini in this case? Could have happened to anybody. But like I also mentioned in the group, I think that at this point, I think that Atalanta have just been making mistakes upon mistakes since that incident happened on the field. You cannot be feeding the press and because the media is looking for something negative most of the time to feed on. And when you give them something to feed on, they're always going to capitalize on it. I think that from the point that the first mistake was made when Lookman took the penalty, and Gasperini followed up with another mistake by calling him out publicly, the next thing that they should have done was to shut up. Everybody should have shut up. Whatever it was going to take for them to appeal to Lookman to not release whatever statement I ended up releasing, should have been done. Because what that statement eventually did was to, open the door to a lot of other theories and say, okay, is it going to stay? Is it going to go? What's going to happen to their title challenge now? When you're in the middle of a title challenge, however little their chances, you do not want all of that distraction. And that's the truth. So I think that with what has happened now, everyone is at fault. Everyone has one fault or another. I've read that Atalanta are trying to salvage the situation because they consider Lookman as some sort of brand ambassador, which is true because Lookman sort of brings a bit of extra exposure to the club, especially since he won the African Footballer of the Year and is experiencing the Europa League last season. So they wouldn't want to lose a player like that. But also understand why Lookman would want to capitalize on the situation to try to get the move that he wanted last summer. Because at 27, I think it's 27 now, he feels that
27.
this is the best time to, take a step up and move to another club. With a year left, knowing the kind of, club that he's in, Atalanta could decide to run down the contract and, keep him for the final year of his contract. So knowing the kind of club that he's in, knowing that kind of incident happened, it's normal that his advisors will tell him, take advantage, release a statement, let people know that you're unhappy, so that tutors can come and say, okay, what's going to take to make you move and all of that. So I think he will move eventually. We just have to wait and see what happens.
Okay, Anthony, we are seeing a new trend in football, and it is around penalty taking. Last season, Chelsea players were involved in a scuffle over who should take the penalty, who should not take the penalty. In fact, they got physical with themselves. Palmer, Madueke, I can't remember the third player. Jackson.
Jackson, yes.
They almost got physical with each other. Something similar happened in the Atalanta match where Retegui, the designated penalty taker, relinquished his responsibility to Lookman, although without any scuffle. Just today, in an Italian Serie A match, two or three Indonesian players, two clowns, were fighting over who should take the penalty. In fact, the guy that the designated penalty taker, Tovin, was not allowed to take the penalty. The striker took the penalty, he scored, but the team did not celebrate with him. Anthony, are we seeing a disconnect between the players and the managers, or what do you think is happening? It's becoming a recurrent thing in football.
What it is what I keep on hammering about in football, especially in professional football. I think it is a lack of discipline. It is a lack of discipline on the part of the players who think they can stop whatever decisions the coaches have made. Mind you, some coaches do not even deem it important to tell the players who should take this kid. So whenever it comes up, there's always an argument, and then you see the natural leaders start to emerge from that kind of situation. But in most cases, in many cases, it's either the coach or the set piece coach tells the players this is who is good at free kick, in swinger from the right side, in swinger from the left side, out swinger corner kick, in swinger corner kick, and then penalties. So these things are always, even in the dressing room, if you go in, you see them on the board alongside the tactics board and all of those things. You see where it is written. So they cannot say they do not know. In most cases, in most football clubs, you see coaches making it clear who should take them, and then stating the reasons why they could not, why it can be taken by somebody else. Maybe the natural penalty taker or the designated penalty taker is a striker who already has a hat trick, or maybe a midfielder already has 2 goals, aiming for a hat trick. Maybe you can say yes, pass it on to him. So there are so many circumstances to which these things could change. But generally, I think most of these teams where you see players, quarreling or dragging over who to take a set piece, especially a penalty kick, is a chronic show of the discipline levels. And if you look around in football currently, I think the level of discipline is also not as high as it was back in the days, as well as the level of leaders in the teams. So when you say Chelsea, for instance, Chelsea is a squad full of so many young players who do not even know what their left is from their right when it comes. Yes, and that's what you expect from a team like that. If you remember so many other incidences where it has happened in the past, you see somebody, if somebody like Cesar Spilicueta or even Thiago Silva was in that squad, you see him step up and say, "Stop that! Give me the ball." You give it to the penalty taker and say, "You take the penalty." That's where leadership comes in. And then trust me, anybody who loses in that kind of quarrel, the shame they feel from losing the ball to somebody else, being taken away from them, giving somebody else, they won't try it again in the match day unless they ask for permission prior to that. So I think generally the trend in football right now is a show of the lack of discipline in the game across boards, and most especially when it comes to taking set pieces.
Well, like you said, we have a lot of irresponsible young adults in football now. Zero respect for hierarchy, and everybody wants to start bad. Yinka?
Yeah, and it was even clear that the coach was not particularly happy with Luka this evening because immediately after he scored the penalty, he was taken off about 5 minutes later in the first
Wow.
half. Yeah, it was subbed off 5 minutes later in the first half. So that's
I
to
like
show
that
you that
reaction.
the coach
I
did
like that
not
reaction.
agree with what he did. Hierarchy is very important in football. Discipline is very important in football. Otherwise, you just have aggressive barbarians running around the field with no form of order. So
And it's
I
not
think
like
coach
it's
did
not
well.
like it's not like the designated taker is some approving young talent who is being given the responsibility. I mean, Tovan
Exactly.
has paid
Tovin
his
is a
dues in
very
football.
experienced player.
And
Yeah,
he's the
very
Experienced
captain.
player.
experienced player.
And he's not the
Exactly. So
captain.
it's not like you're giving the responsibility to some young lad who hasn't paid his dues and had to prove himself for his teammates. I mean, Tovan is, like you said, an
He,
experienced campaigner.
he stood on the spot for several minutes, hoping that Luka would give him the ball. Luka did not give him the ball.
Are
The
you
ref had to
playing?
intervene to give Luka a yellow card, and Luka still did not give him the ball.
Wow.
So Luka got a yellow card.
He scored.
He scored, and then the team obviously backed their captain because what kind of nonsense have they done? And the coach obviously saw that, okay, this is going to cost me because you don't know what it is with footballers. All of the other 10 players can decide not to pass through to you in the game transfer, and that could cost you the game. So the coach obviously had to do the wise thing to take him off almost immediately. We'll see what comes up at the end of the game because the game is still on.
Well, the Champions League draw was not the only draw that was done today. We had the Europa League and the Conference League. We just pick important teams in the Europa League. We have two Italian teams. We have Lazio and Roma. Lazio is going to play against is it CSK? Victoria Pleasant. Roma is going to host Athletic Bilbao. We have United squaring off against Sociedad. Spurs against AZ Alkmaar. Cass, I know you're not a United designate, but
It's on red.
but I want to paint a scenario here, and that scenario is where United finishes 17th in the league and they win the Europa League. Is it possible, or am I dreaming?
No, here, based on our experience, know that against Spanish team is always a busy. It's not a straightforward fixture most of the time. It's always lagging behind at the end of the day. So let them go past this stage before we start talking of the final. Because Man U does not look like a serious team. They'll play well today. They'll play very unwell tomorrow. In fact, at some point, I'm beginning to think
They will play absolutely unwell.
I'm telling you, they'll play like they are being paid to not play well.
But
And
Yinka,
then
Cass was seeing something some weeks back.
I saw he was seeing the workings, have it?
He was seeing some workings.
Workings of memory.
Continue,
I was
Cass.
blind. Now I can see.
You still the light.
Amorim has performed the miracle. He has healed the blind.
I don't know.
Amorim has healed the blind.
I think since Amorim, the players too need to. Last time we did the stay or go, most of the players in the team are not good. Even one of the best players in the team, we still have people that said go, and probably one person said stay. That's Bruno Fernandes. people still didn't see, even despite the fact he's the one turning up for the team. I think I don't know the highlight I saw of Garnacho in their last game.
But
Garnacho was
Cas,
playing.
Cas, the reality on ground as of today is that United are in a relegation battle.
And I won't be surprised. I think the last time they were in this situation, in the 70s or 60s, I can't remember, they went on relegation.
I don't think they will go down.
They've never.
I don't think they
Well,
will go down.
I also do not think they'll get relegated.
They are almost
the way
about
they
12
are
points from
playing.
the relegation zone. I don't think.
So the thing is, the way they are playing, because they've not lost 13 games. I think they've lost 13 games, right?
Yeah.
They've not 12 or 13. They've not lost that much in any season before. Let us not
Yeah,
forget
then
the effect this
when-
will have on their psyche.
Okay,
Cas.
Cas, when Fergie joined,
Yes.
the truth is United were this bad in his first few
What?
seasons.
Okay.
Then he turned it around. In fact, I've seen people making comparisons between how Fergie started and how he is going. But then my point is, for the past 1 month or thereabout now, everybody keeps saying the same thing. The team lacks identity, and he is insisting on his principles, even when the players do not fit into that principle. Is it right for us to ask him to at least be flexible enough to even survive this season before you start implementing your die-hard approach? Yinka?
Well, like Anthony said earlier, I think he will survive this season, and by survive, I mean United will not get relegated. I think there are many other terrible teams that are way worse than Leicester, for example, is a terrible
They're in
team.
action already. Yeah. They're
And
impounded.
Southampton are very bad. Wolves concedes goals like no man's business. So I think they're really bad teams. So United, and also because there's like 10 or 12 points between them and relegation at the moment. So I think that they will just do enough to survive. I also think that what they're going through at the moment is actually what they may actually need to then take an inward look and say, man, we've really hit rock bottom. We need to get things right now. I mentioned sometime in the past that I think United need a shock, just like Amorim said as well. Now, what shock is could be relegation. I hope they do not get relegated, even though I think they will come back almost immediately. But just that, spirit of almost getting relegated, might be what is needed to then, ginger them. We'll see where they can. I've forgotten what your question was again. If you can remind me, I just got lost in my own thoughts.
Should Amorim be flexible?
Okay, yes. So, as far as Amorim is concerned, well, I called him a philosophy coach, and that's the problem you have with philosophy coaches. They stick to that philosophy. You cannot have all coaches like Carlo Ancelotti, for example, that just deal with what he has on ground and makes them work.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to have a style. Everybody wants to have Amorim ball, Pep ball, Sarri ball, Kinnick ball,
Conceição ball.
which to me doesn't make sense because it's rubbish these days. I do agree with you that you need to do what you need to do to win. That's the football is all about winning. And if sitting back for 90 minutes in a game is what you need to win to achieve a certain objective, then you have to do it. Obviously, it becomes a problem when you start playing boring football, consistently. But once in a while, when you need to do it, and you do it, there's nobody that's going to have a problem with it. Simeone tries to attack as much as it's been labeled as a very defensive coach. When Simeone needs to attack, he throws the kitchen sink at you and he gets the results that he needs to get. So, I think that Amorim needs to abandon philosophy for now, get the results, even though I think that there are really bad teams in the Premier League and he will not get relegated. But give the Man United fans something to hope for next season. Let them know that, okay, this guy actually has something to offer. If we back him with very good players, then we can expect to see, a lot of improvement next season. So far, he hasn't shown that. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, we are all waiting. Like I said on Twitter recently, I said The two Manchester teams, they need a rebuild, but for different reasons. The blue half of Manchester need a rebuild to stay competitive, while the red half of Manchester need a rebuild to even be in the game
To
at all,
become competitive at all.
to be relevant. The summer will be very interesting because they have a lot of players on bandit salary, and even Saudi Arabia will be scared to take those players.
And I
their
don't even
current
think that they
salary.
have enough money to spend this summer anyways. I
That
think
is
that
the
FFP
problem.
is dealing with them. So
That is
I'm
the
not sure how
problem.
they're going to go about their rebuild. I don't know.
It's true. Bandit.
Our Rashford is earning.
Look
Look
at,
our Rashford is earning, for example. And I'm not
for
saying he's a bad
example,
player, but you reward players for doing the bare minimum. This is what it gets you. It affected Barca as well. Barca, when Barca had Messi and they were bringing in Malcolm, Dembele, and the likes, they were just giving them money
Coutinho.
as if they were printing it in their backyard. And look at where it almost led them. But now they're trying to recover.
Sorry, Samson. Is that not the reason why most times when we complain about the big signings that goes into the EPL? For no reason, you sign a player 30 million for 100 million, and then you say you're signing him just because you are EPL, and then at the end of the day, it puts a lot of pressure on even the finance of the team itself, and that is what we are seeing in United. You sign this one, you give him 400,000. You sign this one. I don't think Rodrigo is earning up to 200 in Madrid.
No,
I don't think he is.
So. Anthony.
And look at what he brings to the team. Meanwhile, there's somebody that is just there smiling at the camera, advertising for boxers up and down, and he's earning.
Stop
crazy
it!
money.
Stop it! Don't take me back to the hour, please. Don't. Cars, we'll fight.
No. So the question is, what does Ancelotti tell this guy that make them remain? That make them not want to ask for too much?
I think it's a culture. It's a Madrid culture.
It's the Real Madrid culture. Even when they had Cristiano Ronaldo, when they were starting that Galacticos era of Cristiano Ronaldo, they had quite a number of players on high salaries, like Cristiano, maybe Benzema, I'm not sure. But they also had players like Di Maria earning very low. Like at that time, players like Di Maria were complaining because so Madrid has a way of balancing it because they know that they have that appeal, they have the brand. You will still want to play for us, even if we offer you 200,000 or we offer you 150,000. But when they know that they need to share a lot of money, I think they underpaid Mbappe, for example, compared to what Mbappe thought he was going to pay. They actually rewarded him and told him, "We are not giving you more than this. You don't suffer too much. We are not going to give you more than this."
With the sign-on bonus.
So it's a Madrid thing. It has nothing to do with Ancelotti.
And don't forget, they sold Ronaldo. They sold a good Ronaldo when he was asking for more.
Yes, and because they know that it is the club. They are the masters. You cannot just come and do as you like. We call the shots. I mean, they sold players in their prime. Di Maria, Ozil.
Yes, they sold Di Maria.
When people did not even expect that they would sell him, they sold him. They sold Ronaldo that would still offer them, say, 30 goals a season.
So it's a culture in Madrid. Anyways, at the Conference League, we have just two serious teams in the Conference League. There's Chelsea and Fiorentina.
You're ridiculing Antonio. The Real Betis. And the Real Betis.
Sorry.
Come on.
Sorry. Lord Anthony. Sorry. Betis, Chelsea, and Fiorentina.
Jokes aside, I heard that the guy is even doing well. Although I've not seen any of them.
He is actually.
Oh yes, he's doing well.
He is. Yeah, I've seen a couple of
he's
them.
He's
doing well.
Personally, I feel he's in a less chaotic environment.
Yes, that helps as well.
Is with a manager that is like a father to players. Pellegrini has a track record of. Pellegrini is Ancelotti that did not completely download.
Ancelotti has stopped downloading at 50%.
Ancelotti has stopped downloading. He has that fatherly figure. He has a way of of giving players that emotional support. So Anthony
That's
is doing well. He's doing well for Betis, and
good.
we hope they go far in the Conference League. Personally, I'm rooting for Fiorentina. They've played 2 finals, lost both finals, and hopefully they make it third time lucky.